Live from Studio 1396, Columbus, Ohio. This is Late Lap. I am AJ England, and I couldn't be more happy to have you join us tonight. You know, every week, every day, every night, we have great shows, bad shows, some shows in between. And it's really kind of our own set of diverse roads that lead us on the world of, chasing victory and talking about what makes the automobile, motorsport, friends, and family so great. Last night, we ran out of time. We didn't get the chance to talk about Richard Gadson's first career win. We do have a short show, but I don't want to let that story go unnoticed, so we will start there today. You know the saying, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And for the last 2 years in Pro Stock Motorcycle, the man has had one name, Gage freaking Herrera. But on Sunday, deep in the Tennessee hills at the Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals, in a place where engines echo off the mountains like thunder on repeat, something changed. Something snapped. Something beautiful truly happened. Richard Gadson finally won, and not just any win, his first NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle National Event victory. And get this, he didn't luck into it, he didn't coast there, he beat the two-time champ on a holeshot. In the final heads-up mano-a-mano. I'll set the stage. Bristol Dragway, Thunder Valley, it's a tricky uphill strip that even the most seasoned crew chiefs tiptoe around. Temperatures were high, but it had been raining. Pressure was higher, and for Gadson, the wait had been long. 5 final round appearances, countless close calls, too many almosts, but not this time. In round 1, he handled Charles Poski. Clean run, 6.86 with a 9 at 196.53 mile an hour. Round 2, a solo bye, smooth, steady. Round 3, he took out Chase Van Zandt, who fouled at the tree. But Gadson still laid down a solid one at 6.91 with a 1, and that sent him to the final, his 5th time trying to seal that deal against his own teammate Gage Herrera. You might as well have called it a boss battle. Herrera had already been Herrera all weekend, sharp, fast, and unbeatable. Or so we thought. He beat Chris Bostic with a 6.85, and he got around Angie Smith with a 6.88 with a 3, then ended rookie Braden Davis's magical run with a textbook 6.895. Let's pause on Davis for a second. The kid qualified number 1 in his second start ever on the same Hayabusa Gage won in with Chicago. Talk about pressure. He double clutched and stalled at the line, ending the Cinderella story in the same sentence. But don't worry, he's coming back for more this weekend in Virginia. Hashtag Virginia Nats. You can get your tickets at NHRA.com. And after that debut, people will be watching that class. But back to Bristol. Final round, teammates, both on Vance and Hines Gen 3 Hayabusas, both hungry, one searching for win number 1, the other aiming to add another to a growing empire. The lights drop. Gadson reacts like a sniper, 14,000th on the tree. Herrera close, but not close enough. At the stripe, Gadson runs 6.88 with a 4 to Herrera's 6.88 with a 2. Read that again. Gadson won on a hole shot by 0.02 of a second. This wasn't just a win, this was a statement. After the run, Gadson said it himself. He couldn't just outrun Gage. He couldn't just outrun him. That wasn't realistic. Nobody outruns Gage. If he wanted it, he'd have to take it. And he went up there ready to red light, if that's what it looks like. But instead, he pulled off the career best run of his NHRA career. And you know what? He deserved it. He's worked for this. He's paid his dues. He's come up short, sometimes his own fault, sometimes the bike's. But this time, everything clicked. Reaction time, shifting confidence, calm. As Gadson said, they say the first win is the hardest. I sure hope they're right, because this one sure was hard. Meanwhile, Herrera took it like a true champ, a class act. He looked over at a 1,000-foot mark and saw Gadson out in front. Dang it, he got me on that light, he said. But Richard's been working his butt off, and he deserves it. That's the mark of a good team and a fun rivalry. And how about Vance and Hines' squad? All three bikes in the semis. Braden top qualifier, Gage wins the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge, and Richard wins the race. That's not a weekend, it's a mission accomplished. Crew Chief Andrew Hines said it best. Bristol is brutal to tune for, but they came in, stayed sharp, and fought all the way to the win. It all finally aligned for Richard, Hines said. He was on point, shifting and riding great. We're just soaking it in right now. Look, Herrera's era isn't over, not by a long shot. He still leads the standings with 430 points after four races. Gadson's in third with 346, nipping at his heels. There's a lot of racing left, but now there's belief. Now, Richard Gadson doesn't have to answer questions about if, just when's the next one. And any good racer will say you never take it for granted. There might not be a next one, but I'll call it out now. Richard's going around soon. Now, Herrera was a new kind of pressure, a teammate who's no longer learning. He's arriving. And maybe, just maybe, we've got ourselves a championship battle brewing that's more than just a one-sided domination. So raise a visor for Richard Gadson. The long road to victory lane just got its first checkered flag. The first, but definitely not the last. All right, race fans, we've seen rain delays, we've seen red flags, we've seen road courses, and even raced in the Coliseum. But nothing, and I mean nothing, has been quite like this. This week, NASCAR packed up everything, the haulers, the hope, the horsepower, and pointed it south for something that hasn't happened in over 70 years. That's right, the Cup Series is going international. For the first time since 1952, the NASCAR Premier Division is hosting a points race outside the United States. Destination, Mexico City. Track, the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez. Event, the Viva Mexico 250. Now, pause and appreciate the magnitude of this. NASCAR isn't just racing in another country. They're moving an entire sport across the border. This isn't just a road trip, it's an operation, a logistical ballet, a traveling motorized military maneuver. How serious is this? NASCAR didn't send a couple of engineers with clipboards, I'll tell you that. They sent two of their top field generals, Tom Bryant, a 21-year Army veteran who once helped move the 101st Airborne Division to Iraq, and Steve Barris, a former SWAT deputy chief. You want a pit stop done with precision? Try handing it to a guy who's led tactical raids and spent 28 years on a police force. This isn't just hauling race cars, it's hauling an entire culture. 137 trucks, 284 drivers, nearly 2,400 documents. And every last one of those trucks had to be inspected, manifested, categorized, and coordinated with U.S. Customs and the National Customs Agency of Mexico. Every roll of tape, every Sharpie, every spare steering wheel listed. If it's going in, it better be coming out. That is the rule. And because we're not racing at Charlotte or Darlington or Bristol, you can't just drive home to grab a missing sway bar. So every single tool, tire wire, and winglet had to be packed perfectly. That's where the military mindset kicked in. Tom Bryant explained that they're using what's called the PACE method, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency, for everything. Because when you're 2,000 miles away from your home base, we'll figure it out when we get there, ain't the strategy. Now picture this. Cup teams were racing at Michigan last Sunday, but before that green flag ever dropped, they were already prepping their Mexico cars in the background. Backup haulers were waiting behind pit road, and the second that Michigan race ended, it was swap city. Michigan cars into the backup rigs, Mexico-bound cars into primaries, and the convoy began rolling by 8 p.m. That's NASCAR meets Amazon Prime. But this isn't just about paperwork and prep, it's about pride. It's about putting on the best show possible, not just for longtime fans in the States, but for new fans in Mexico City and beyond. You think Goodyear just sat back? No, they brought a mobile tire maintenance unit to Laredo, Texas, just in case. Featherlight, the hauler kings, are tagging along. Steps Towing, they're literally in the convoy with a recovery rig, just in case someone breaks down. It's like a Rolling Stones tour, but with fewer guitars and more gearboxes. And you better believe those haulers turned heads along the way. These aren't your average semis if you're new to racing. We're talking billboard-size rolling paint schemes, bright, bold, and branded, slicing through Texas highways like a 100-mile-per-hour parade. One team that was especially ready was Hendrick Motorsport. After taking Garage 56 to Le Mans, this whole international paperwork puzzle was deja vu for them. Race carnets, manifests, custom forms, they've danced this dance before. But this time, they're doing it for 4 full-time Cup entries. That's like going from a duet to a stadium tour. Even teams like Front Row Motorsports, whose crew chief Drew Blickensderfer had raced in Mexico City during the old Xfinity days, noted how far this effort has evolved. Back then, you booked your own flights and hoped for the best. Now it's synchronized, structured, and one small customs delay away from turning into a motorsports telenovela. But here's the real story, folks. Unity. Unity between NASCAR, the teams, the vendors, and the fans. This took everyone from logistics specialists to customs agents to the guy checking tire pressure in the dark at 3 a.m. It is a village on wheels. And when those engines fire on Sunday, it won't just be another race. It'll be a global moment for NASCAR, for the fans in Mexico, for the millions watching from home, and for the kids in the stands seeing their very first stock car thunder past the grandstand. It's not just about the trophy this week. It's about planting a flag, showing that stock car racing, born on the back roads of the Carolinas, has the wheels to go anywhere. So, we always end our show in Spanish. But right now I say Viva Mexico, Viva NASCAR, and Viva the absolute insanity it takes to move a motorsport across borders and back again. Let's go racing. Oh, and I am excited. I remember when they would race and they would bring, Edwards and some of the road course ringers at the Autódromo, and it was exciting. ESPN had great coverage. I can only hope that Amazon's is just as great this week. It's really something that I hope everybody's super looking forward to. Well, something I'm looking forward to, folks, is something I've been talking about for a long, long time, but mostly in a private setting. Ladies and gentlemen, racers and readers, enthusiasts and insiders, I've got news that's been burning a hole in my notebook for months. After years of absorbing trackside wisdom, I hope, breaking stories at times, interviewing legends, and living motorsports from both behind the mic and inside the media room, I'm officially announcing my debut book, Diverse Roads, coming in 2026. This is not just another motorsports memoir either, or a technical manual. Diverse Roads is a journey into the soul of racing industry, from the corporate towers that shape the grid to the grassroots garages that keep its heart beating. It's a celebration of stories that don't always make headlines, but always make a difference. It's a high-speed highway of leadership, insights, cultural shifts, and personal reckonings, all woven into one road trip across time and discipline in motorsport. So why this book and why now? I started dreaming up this project when I realized how many incredible stories I had access to, not just from world champions, but from behind-the-scenes leaders, safety innovators, journalists, and trailblazers. Diverse Roads explores the evolution of motorsports through interviews, essays, and personal anecdotes that cut to the truth of what makes our sport powerful: people. I wanted to create something timeless, a book that people would hopefully refer back to, not because of gossip or hot takes, because it captures the layers of what motorsport really is: its business, bravery, legacy, innovation, heartbreak, and even redemption, and everything in between. With the sport facing new audiences, new formats, and a very new digital era, this book arrives at a moment where context and culture matter more than ever. A personal lap, you could call it, around the track. My own racing journey began at Columbus Motor Speedway during a local event that would unknowingly shape my destiny. From that childhood spark grew a lifelong fire, one that carried me through an unconventional path into the very center of the industry. From interviewing champions to joining the ranks at JFR, the road has been as unpredictable as it has been rewarding. The late Jeff Knuckles, who gave me my first job in racing, taught me lessons that echo throughout this book, that community matters and local tracks are sacred. I owe this project in many ways to that legacy and to every fan, friend, and mentor who's helped me along the way. I've stood on pit roads from Pomona to Pocono, but my first true green flag came from that Columbus backstretch. Growing up, I didn't always see my enthusiasm mirrored around me. Racing wasn't the mainstream choice in Central Ohio, but I did find a kinship with fans and friends from across the state lines, folks who shared stories about Talladega and Bristol brawls. We swapped diecast, VHS tapes, and dreams. That's the fan. That's the fan that I'm writing it for. That's the heart of this book. So here's what's inside. Each chapter in Diverse Roads opens with my personal take, setting the scene, before transitioning to in-depth interviews and profiles that stand alone yet weave together a larger picture. Business meets speed, how major executives like Dan Hesse shaped brands through racing, and how fan loyalty becomes a company's best investment. I explore how motorsport is a business, unlike any other, where the return on investment is measured not just in dollars but in roar. We then talk about breaking barriers, the Bill Lesters of the world, who changed the face of the sport by simply refusing to be boxed out. These are the untold stories of grit and grace, showing how diversity strengthens the garage and grandstands alike. Of course, there's also stories from the voices that guided us. Media personalities like Alan Bestwick, who turned chaos into story and keep the passion alive. Because motorsport without storytellers is just noise. We celebrate those who make it symphonic. In the world of tech and safety, I take a hard look at how innovation off-track saves lives on track, and how those lessons spill into everyday driving. The unsung engineers and quiet scientists behind every safer barrier and reinforced chassis get their spotlight. A spotlight on the next generation of racers and professionals who are redefining what motorsports cultures look like. From sim racers to social influencers to future execs, the track is no longer the only point of entry. I also share a few reflections on the icons who built empires and stayed relevant through changing eras. What do the legends know that we can apply to our own lives? Where do resilience, character, and humility meet horsepower? It's for the fans, by a fan. No matter what Claire B. Lang and I say, we don't always want to be fans. Sometimes you can't help it. This book isn't just about my voice. It's not really about my voice at all. It's about the people in the stands, the YouTubers grinding out content, the kid watching from home dreaming of being the next Force Earnhardt or King Palou. I wrote it for you. I wrote it for the marketing rep trying to make their small brand look big on a local late model. For the intern who just handed out water bottles in their first paddock. For the crew member who missed their kid's birthday to tighten one more bolt. Those roads are yours too. Whether you're here for the horsepower or the human stories, whether you've been following on the sport since the dirt days or just tuned in last season, Diverse Roads will give you something to hold on to. The road to 2026. And as we approach the release, we'll be rolling out teaser content across the late lap and race data sheets platforms. Expect sneak peeks, chapter previews, exclusive podcast interviews, and featured guests, and maybe even a behind-the-scenes look at the writing process. I'll dig into the data, we'll share a few laughs, and give you the raw and the real. If you're a content creator, I want to work with you. If you're a fan with the story, I want to hear it. If you're new to racing and not sure where to begin, this book is for you. There's a lot of pieces to this, and I can't wait to share more. This is more than a book. It's a movement, a mission, and a moment. And frankly, folks, that is all we have for today here on The Late Lap. A little bit of a shorter show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we talked about something that interested you. Nothing about cars, a little bit of racing, a little bit of history, a little bit of business. As I say at the end of every great show, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, smile, be happy, And until then, and to our friends in the South, sea amable consigo mismo. Sea amable con otros. Sonría. Sea feliz. Hasta entonces. Cuídese. Good night, everybody.